and welcome to the SmackDown preview. I'm Adam Wilbourn from WhatCulture, joined by another dolly boy, Michael Hamflett from WhatCulture, here to look ahead to tonight's episode of Friday Night SmackDown. But before we get into it, if you're a fan of this sort of thing, make sure you subscribe to WhatCulture Wrestling on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, and YouTube. We review daily wrestling podcasts. We review them, and we also talk about
all sorts of stuff.
including Friday Night SmackDown, our other show formerly known as NXT 2.0. AEW Dynamite, AEW Collision, pay-per-views, premium live events. We have interviews, roundtable discussions, and a roundup that we complete with a bloody good quiz, of course, on Wrestle Culture. As I said, though, joined by Michael Hamflett for the final time this year to look ahead to tonight's episode of Friday Night SmackDown. And all the fallout from Saturday night's main event.
God, is that just this week?
Yep.
It was a month ago. Yeah, of course. All the fallout from Saturday night's main event. That hadn't crossed my mind that would be high on the agenda.
The world champion's dead.
Yeah. Where to start with this? Thank you, everybody, because this is the last SmackDown preview of 2024, and straight shooting, probably the last bit of SmackDown coverage we'll do in 2024.
Probably, yeah. Depending on how.
We're thin on the ground in the office next week. It's like Christmas break is in kind of full effect for the wrestling team, pretty much as of this weekend.
The in-laws are coming up this weekend, though, so I might be back in on Monday.
Yeah, I'm working through the because I'll have the kids in the old lull in between Christmas and New Year. So my wife is picking up the slack here. I'll be in the middle, and then everyone just goes back to normal. We can get back to normal.
2 weeks' time, all back to normal.
Don't worry, guys. I was going to do when, I don't know, like Christmas comes out to play, January 1st, and Netflix ain't too far away. It's what a year. What a strange and wonderful and ridiculous year it's been covering this show yet again. It's just
all killer, no filler, these previews.
Very much so. Like, do you know what? You're right. I feel less guilty to let this veer off topic because we've made sure to just keep it wrestling-centric all year long. That if you can't allow yourself a bit of real life talk, a bit of a tangent, a bit of a...
loosening your belt at Christmas.
Exactly. That's it. This is the one.
We might even talk about food because, everyone likes food at Christmas.
Hey, man, SmackDown's in the can. Much like a lot of the food I would typically, which I'm going to try and avoid this Christmas, as I intend to be not just a people's chef, but my family's chef too.
Yeah.
We'll get to that on this preview.
And I've got an astounding fact for you that you probably already know, but it's about one of Michael Hamflett's favorite things.
Ooh.
A little Christmas fact you can drop at the dinner table this Christmas and wow your family with.
Is it that we're all in our 30s? Because that's a fact.
We are all in our 30s for the final year.
Oh, yeah, we won't be able to say that next Christmas. It's a taped SmackDown. So I don't know any of the results, but...
Yeah, I didn't even think of that, yeah.
Based on recent... I've not seen any spoilers or anything, but based on just recent times, it's a little bit more lightweight. What you see in the ring, there'll be a few video packages made. That's the real stuff. You think of the Punk Roman stuff recently. Roman saying yeet was the exception rather than the rule in terms of the stuff that we've missed on these tape shows. And it's all for good reasons, as we talked about, like the wrestlers getting time with their families over Christmas. The reduced road schedule. I think they're back out on the 26th for the big Madison Square Garden show. But
it's not much of a break, is it?
It's not a break, but as opposed to the old days, it's quite the gap of time they've actually got. Because if you think about it, they're pretty much wrapped up with Raw, I guess. And if you weren't involved in that, that was you done. So they're in the middle of their time off.
Do you reckon they'll have done like an early Christmas then, some of them with their families?
Oh, yeah.
Because I know you can't let yourself go as a wrestler because everyone's so bloody critical and online and all that. But do you reckon they've said, let's have a proper Christmas on the 20th where we can, drink and eat and be merry?
Yeah.
Because I'm going to be having to get on a plane pretty early on the Boxing Day at the
Probably
absolute
Christmas
latest.
Day night.
Yeah.
Christmas Day night, I would imagine they'll be checking into the hotels and that, which is...
Cody did a skit on that, didn't he?
He did.
Being the Elite many, many moons ago.
And if you work...
Although he's got his feet up because he's got cervical swelling and an axial compression of the cervical spine as well as a cervical strain with spasm. So he can see you in the new year, guys.
it has resulted as well to take this back to wrestling temporarily. In Kevin Owens promoting himself as the true WWE champion.
The fighting champion.
The fighting champion that's going to work all the house show dates in Cody's absence.
He's going to spray an X over that belt, or?
Oh my God. Well, he's already halfway to setting up a feud with CM Punk based on the comments this week.
He's got an excellent moveset.
He does indeed. He does indeed. So he's going to be working those dates, and like ostensibly instead of Cody, but it being Cody makes you wonder if he's going to do some sort of running in a neck brace, especially at Madison Square Garden, where you would think, there's a night where that gets shared on people's phones, and WWE have got a camera set up so it looks nice-ish on social media.
When are they there? Boxing Day?
26th, yeah. So we will see, I guess.
God, I'd love to be in Madison Square Garden on Boxing Day.
I think about it every year. What was
It's time to play the game! Time to play the game! Ha ha ha!
What was the most talked about surprise hit match of last year's Boxing Day special?
CM Punk versus Dominic Mysterio. Green one.
Hey, you are right. CM Punk
Came back through the curtain. Yeah, I'm back, baby. Yeah.
Yeah, you are. I never went away. I mean, I know you only nailed 3.5 stars at Wembley, but never went away.
And he bumped into Dom. Finally got around to watching that behind the scenes Survivor Series.
What a bit of footage.
I like the moment with him and Randy. That's lovely.
Yeah, it's great, isn't it?
Can I have not 10 minutes?
They cuddle with like Kofi as well. All the years they'd spent like traveling together and things like that.
And there's the awkward meeting with is it Corey Graves? And then I think, is it Stu, the cameraman, who comes through?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
And they're like, you're right, good to see you. Yeah. Stu's like, hey! And I was like, oh no, this is gonna be the origin story for Corey Graves. You ignore my handshake, Phil.
Didn't one of them say like, we'll talk later? And there was a sense of, I'm going to bloody have to, like that. Yeah.
Nice hug between him and Steph.
Yeah.
Water under the bridge, innit?
It's business. Like, it's amazing the things that they will just put to one side for business. Thank you, everybody. I want to it'd be unfair and frankly rude to not shout out Brian, the hashtag SmackDown Photoshop correspondent, for an incredible 12 months. And it has been a solid 12 months, because he said very recently was it Bananas in Pajamas that really...
Probably, yeah. Sounds about right.
Took what was a growing trend of us talking absolute bollocks on this podcast and turned it into something visual every week. He has been so incredibly diligent. There are certain traditions that you get into in your life that you kind of don't notice it's happening until then for 1 week it doesn't happen and you're like, wait a second, where's that? Now, on Fridays, there is a sort of, it always falls around the same sort of time on Twitter/X. You get Matt Rains' Legend Lounge. Shout out, bestie. Hope you're enjoying a nice festive brew wherever you're watching or listening to this. And Brian's Photoshop.
Makes my Friday.
And you sort of... Whatever, we've talked about stuff and then we've laughed about stuff and then it's like Brian might have his work cut out with the Photoshop this week. And then by the time you see it, you're not forgotten about what you were talking about, but you're sort of like, oh yeah, how would he have crafted that in Photoshop? Look what he's done. It's
amazing.
Art every week. And that, of course, leads us to somebody we've been putting over this week. So yeah, thank you, Matt. Thank you, Brian. Thank you, everybody. I hate inadvertently realising I'm naming people and then worrying who I'll miss out.
Jay Fraser.
You all know who you are, but Jay Fraser, I have to sort of isolate for some praise here as well, because we've known that he's been doing this all year, because there's been these teas in sort of like halfway houses of sort of one in like March, April time, and then one in the summer, and it's all blurred, but you can make out a couple of logos and you know what's coming. And then last week's reveal of the 2024 In Tangents. It is like, I don't know if this is like bad audio for people if you haven't seen this yet. I retweeted it. I'm sure like Wilbourn did as well. It's he's called it All This and Some Wrestling. Great title. And it's every tangent that he was able to track that we went on. And yeah, predominantly on this podcast.
Yeah.
And it is it's our Sgt. Pepper's cover, isn't it?
It is.
If you can sort of name every historical figure on the Beatles' Sgt. Pepper's album, you could theoretically see all this. You could see Jay Fraser's All This and Some Wrestling artwork with everything silhouetted and like with numbers attached. And you could like make a big fat quiz of it. You got
at J__ Eduardo Fraser, EDUARDOFRASER. It's worth checking out. Bash Street Kids.
There's
Will Grigg, obviously.
Yeah, for you, not in a Sunderland kit, notably.
Yeah.
Who else? The stoned scream mask from very on the X logo from when Twitter became X, as well as Gateshead Interchange Metro Station.
Is that cricket? That's the Cricket Wireless characters, isn't it?
It is the Cricket Wireless characters in WrestleMania.
Jack Kangaroo, can't neglect to mention.
There's the Lex Luger Galoob figure from the time I told the story that I conned one of my mates into swapping me a Hasbro Sergeant Slaughter. There's the great Tony Mowbray. Shout out to Tony Mowbray. He's a cancer survivor as of this year.
Oh, fantastic.
Glad all is well in the world of Tony Mowbray. Truly an icon.
Let's not forget Brum.
Brum's absolute hellish rampage that he went on earlier this year.
64 Zulane, that's in my future, isn't it?
64 Zulane. Speaking of kids' TV, there is the graphic, of course, of the production company. Dick. It's on there.
The France 98 mascot.
Mick Hucknall, speaking of France 98.
Angle Wrangle.
Angle Wrangle, yeah. Jedward, from when I met Jedward of the summer. At where? A Kylie Minogue gig, because she's also present on this.
Oh, yeah.
Jonathan Creek logo, just not... A box of Crave. There is a box of Crave cereal on this montage and in my kitchen cupboard right now.
Oh, brilliant.
The deluxe one available from Farm Foods. Barry Scott, the late Barry Scott of Sillet Bang.
Girls Aloud.
Barry Scott is holding...
God, it's what's his name? From Alice in Wonderland.
Oh, the Johnny Depp character.
Yeah.
The man from Alice in Wonderland. Rufio. There's a Beetlejuice-flavoured Fanta sticking out of Moby's head stood in front of a Spiders nightclub sign, which basically amounts to my October through to December.
Yeah. Just you wait till what we're going to reveal in January, by the way.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God.
We have a big announcement coming your way.
Some stuff coming. It's going to be
brought to you by Leangate Valves.
Very
excited.
Very, very excited to share that. Donkey Rides.
Frey Bentos. Oh, my God, that was an amazing day.
Frey Bentos. Oh, that was just me discussing Frey Bentos, yeah.
And me doing the Tesco reviews of Frey Bentos.
Yeah. I saw the move.
Oh, Head from Art Attack as well.
Yes.
And the BNBN characters.
Wasn't there like a happy and a sad one, like the theatre figures? That was Brian's creation, if I remember correctly. He made a sad BN.
Zamorano, 1+8. I can't have number 9 on my shirt, so I'll have 1+8. Thank you very much.
The moon from the Mighty Boosh. It's all it's we've labelled half of it. Go
Fred
back
Elliott.
And check out yourself. I say Fred Elliott. It's amazing.
It is one of those things that it's like a magic eye thing. Every time you look at it, you see something different.
Yeah.
Good Brews. Shout out to Good Brews, powering this podcast, powering basically all of our podcasts for this year.
Yep.
Going to be closed for the rest of the year now. But the day after, it's a very important week. You've got Wrestle Dynasty Dynasty, Kenny Omega's return, Raw on Netflix.
On the 6th. The 3rd.
And on the day of us reviewing that, and of course the day of New Year's Evil, Good Brews back open in the Gateshead Interchange. Go and check them out. They're fantastic.
Shout out to Mark Lee Willis. Again, I could name everybody that we know that listens and contributes regularly, and this is not obviously my design to remove people by omission or any of that sort of stuff. Shout out to Mark Lee Willis on behalf of our editors, who were extremely grateful for the money that you put behind at Good Brews. That was extremely, extremely thoughtful for coffees and teas. It's here we are being the voice of the voiceless, I suppose. It's people that maybe don't necessarily get to sit in front of these microphones like dinguses, but make us all look good and great. Thank you very much, Mark, for the cash you provided behind the counter at Good Brews. Very puts good use.
Oh, sorry, I've just seen the Traitors.
Oh my God.
The Traitors is back.
Is it?
Well.
I'm not sure. I don't know if I can bring myself to watch it.
Hang on.
Because I nearly didn't watch season 2 because I thought, well, nothing. Was it Will who was the
around the breakfast table? Oh, Wilf. The original
Thank you. Yeah, the OG. And I was like, well, no one's topping that. I'm not going to say any more. Watch season 2 of the UK Traitors. Claudia Winkleman is, I think, the greatest TV host in history.
She's up there.
And I think this is on an astonishing format. You can see why it's been copied all over the place. And I think that's the best television gets, Traitors Season 2.
It's funny you mention the best television gets, right? I am, and there's not many of us left, I'm a defender of the BBC in spite of factors.
Yeah.
I'm a defender of the BBC and the licence fee, and I believe that there is a sort of quality barometer that will be lost forever when the BBC, as we know it as a television institution, for our American friends, the BBC is our only, maybe the only in the world, I don't know.
They get BBC America, don't they? That's how they watch like Top Gear and what have you.
In your minds, that might just be, hey, TV from the UK.
Yeah, British television. What's all
Mr.
that
Dean
about?
looking asses 24/7 without using the uppers and downers. No, the BBC is a state-funded television network. When such a thing increasingly doesn't exist. And the idea is we all pay our license fee. It's a version of a tax, but in exchange for that, on a BBC that functions at its peak, which it still can on occasion, the core tenets are to educate, entertain, and inform. And it does so with a lack of bias, and you know that it remains unbiased because people on the right and left hate it equally.
Yeah.
And I always think that's the barometer of it doing its job.
Just such a tightrope act whenever they deal with politics.
So hard, and it has to walk that tightrope. It has historic failings as an institution in terms of protection of its staff and people, and that will never be waved away by anyone. But because of those core tenets of producing television, if we look at it exclusively as a maker of programs, the way in which it sort of holds true to that remit allows every now and then for television, like almost like nothing else. Its nearest competitor in the UK is ITV, but that has always been advertiser controlled, and the difference has always been laid bare about. Channel 4 is also terrestrial and tries to walk this line between being a bit more credible like the BBC, but then advertiser funded like ITV. And then you also have BBC 2, which is sort of like BBC's Channel 4 in that it can do stuff that's a little bit off the beaten track. Often BBC 2 content becomes so popular that it migrates to BBC 1, which is where the big shows of the year fall, like a Traitors, like a Strictly Come Dancing, a big sort of Christmas institution at this point, 20 years deep into its return. But all of that is to say, and Brum, and CBeebies, where Cody Rhodes and Kylie Minogue will read bedtime stories this year, and is, without doubt, without question, without any sort of caveats, the single best screen you can put your young child in front of. The safest hands on a square in your house now can be found on CBeebies. The January run this year on the BBC, generational. That institution, and I use that word in all the weight and gravitas that it sort of belies, was trying to help a nation through what many people consider the darkest and most difficult months of the year. That BBC One can be found in every single home with a television in the UK, right? The Traitors, the rebooted Gladiators.
Oh, God, I was so... Gladiators was on Jay's thing.
Running in... It was, probably because we couldn't stop talking about it for the first month. Running into the new series of The Apprentice that was put at the start of the year instead of the end. I'm telling you, we were in, March before the BBC didn't have the destination piece of television in the UK. That's not going to be the case in 2025 because WWE's on Netflix. However... The BBC can run it a close second. And I cannot wait for that run again. What a run of television that was. You'll get Celebrity Gladiators over Christmas.
Oh my God.
I think they're doing Celebrity Traitors. I'm not on board, but I will indulge. I will indulge.
Not going to be as good.
Maybe a two-parter or something, just like a one fall to a finish type thing where you get one winner, rather than having to, I don't know how that's going to work. And it's celebrities, so there'll be an element of performance that you just don't get with the real deal. But then, Traitors Season 3. At some point, the show will eat itself, and I sort of nervously await the day where the people in there are a little bit too aware they're in there. It happened to Big Brother, around sort of Season 7 in the UK. That's the reality of reality TV, is that sooner or later it kind of becomes a version of reality rather than the real deal. But fingers crossed there's one more run in the Traitors, because Big Brother made it to 5. And it was still knocking, it was hitting home runs all the time. So,
God,
and that's how the Traitors Series 1 made me feel. It made me feel like early Big Brother. Season 2 was like, oh my God, they've raised the stakes, and it's just as good. At some point that snake will eat itself, but fingers crossed, not just yet.
Speaking of traitors... we're going to hear from Kevin Owens because he can't be out there tonight, because that would have been completely backwards, because he'd have had to either be out there with a title and people would, because they had to shoot in advance, obviously people would be like, oh cool, so I guess he's winning the title at Saturday night's main event, or basically say, you know when I crippled Cody Rhodes? Well, they had to pre-record all this, so not too much fallout with him, but hopefully a bit of a development with the new Women's United States champion.
Well, can I do Kevin Owens first? Because I would like to give that Women's United States champion the time and the flowers she deserves. Could they tonight have filmed a backstage vignette where Kevin Owens, with the accompanying Winged Eagle title, is trying to get in the building, but the SmackDown GM can't remember his name, simply won't let him in? And you just film it in it doesn't even need to be in that arena from last week's car park. It could be an indistinct backstage area. One of them garage door things like the one that revealed Punk. We'll do a little wrap up of some of our favourite SmackDown moments at the end. Just remind me of that.
We are going to do a recap of 2024. It's probably just going to be at the start of 2025 due to limitations.
They were really fun to do last year, but yeah, like time and schedules and everything like that has made it a little bit tricky.
You and I both are counting down to the 2nd of January when we're back in here.
Oh, there's so much to cover. It's going to be so we're so excited to get right back on that content.
We'll do Dynamite review and maybe a review of WWE and AEW in the following days.
Like the little giddy hamsters that we are on the content wheel. Check out...
Plus, I'll have forgotten half the stuff, and by that time, all the websites will have released their best and worst moments. We already have.
Yeah.
The worst moments written by... I can't remember who wrote the worst moments, actually.
This guy.
And best moments written by... Michael Sidgwick.
Yeah.
Really great
videos,
read. I have nicked quite a lot of that stuff for the WrestleCulture quiz later on today.
Excellent. Speaking of Raphone, a piece of garbage. We don't always see eye to eye most of the time because he doesn't have the guts to look at me. He just stares straight ahead.
He's like Batista. That's why he's scared of the cameras. That's why he keeps the shades on all the time.
Well, I knew that, but let's just say next week I'm going to help him get over that fear.
Oh,
stay tuned.
I think I know.
Right up to the wire, right up to the break, right up to the Christmas break. Me and you were fun. We're going to make something out of you.
But yeah, Kevin Owens not getting let in the building. He's already done his bit at the Netflix launch, of course.
It's like he has to be this interloper figure at the moment. Yeah, even the house show post was him with his face slapped over Cody's. I could well.
I'd have said to you the other week, Kevin Owens is going to lose at Saturday night's main event, get pinned, but it's going to be better for him than winning.
Oh, it's fantastic, isn't it? Like I think what's been interesting about Saturday night's main event is that it ultimately had, and the Survivor Series, but the two of them probably together, it's ultimately had more of an impact, I guess, on the potential of the WrestleMania cards than we maybe thought. Because we've all been talking about how there's so many different cards at the moment for all the various reasons why that is.
We'll get to the title that could be fought for at WrestleMania in due course.
Yeah, we'll
and preemptively.
Oh my God.
That makes one of us. The fact that Punk and Rollins and that match are going to be taking place on Netflix.
Oh my God.
And Rhea versus Liv.
Oh my God.
Leaves them out of WrestleMania conversation.
Yes.
So then you start to think, right, well, from that crew, we can make assumptions of the people that will be in top line WrestleMania conversation, but we can therefore also make assumptions of people that could be in Royal Rumble contention. I think they might do Kevin Owens versus Cody Rhodes at the Rumble.
Yeah.
One last time. And that'll be Owens' reason for not being in the Rumble.
Yeah.
Which he will then use as a stick to beat the SmackDown GM, can't remember his name, or Postman Pierce with, well, you screwed me because you made me wrestle Cody Rhodes and I wanted a chance to fight for the title at WrestleMania. Yeah. And they're like,
Kevin, name an occasion when someone has gone in with a title at the Royal Rumble and then appeared in the Royal Rumble again. Come on.
Come on.
Oh, yeah, it's Roman Reigns.
Yeah.
The person you hate the most. And that's how he gets into the Elimination Chamber and eliminates Jonathan Cena.
Oh, Jonathan Cena, is it? Mr. Jonathan Cena. Yeah, it's. I think this week it'll be more a case of him not being allowed in the building, him swearing blind that this company is against him. You wouldn't do that if it was Cody, your golden boy, all that sort of stuff. And they'll. Kevin can do the loop. Maybe Cody turns up as well, and we're set back up for the Rumble.
Doesn't have to have the Cody moment on the Netflix debut. Obviously, you want to save some stuff for Smackers, but have him at Raw with the whole. Bought a ticket, mate. Can't kick me out.
I got a pitch that you and you alone will absolutely love.
Well, along with the Tribal Chief Championship.
Can I just crack open the transfer window a second?
Oh, please.
What if the SmackDown GM just throws his hands up with this situation and is like, well, this is kind of ideal for me because I need you gone. You are taking out my top guys with your pile drivers. You're unmanageable. So off you go. Raw will take you. You can be Postman Pierce's problem. And Postman Pierce's like, wait a minute. Takes two to transfer, mate. I'm not having him. And then the NXT general manager and Booker and Cook of the Year proves why she wins these awards constantly. Right. I'll take him.
I'll take him and Drew off your hands.
And and just on the run up to the Rumble when he gets the match with Cody, the only place is welcome, and subsequently he becomes a massive disruptor in NXT for 3 weeks or something.
I mean,
come
on home, Kev.
He arrives on Raw for the Netflix special debut episode, And Pierce is like, what the hell are you doing here? And he's like, oh, like SmackDown GM, can't remember his name, sent me. Said I've been transferred to Raw. Nobody wants me. I'm like, well, yeah, that makes two of us. And then he rocks up at New Year's Evil.
Yeah, you're not a good guy. You're evil.
Like your tattoo.
Is that what it's for?
Like live back.
New Year's Evil.
New Year's, he got it when he first got it as like a teenager, I think, knowing that one day there'd be an NXT special called New Year on Netflix, CW, whatever. Netflix for us, CW for the...
Yeah, it's all
American
Netflix for us,
fans.
isn't it, next year, baby?
For that very show.
But let's talk Chelsea Green, quite rightly being crowned US champion, as we called, of course.
Definitely, yeah. We kind of call every match in the brackets correctly and right the way through to the final.
Yep. Jesus Christ, I love that finish.
Yeah.
I didn't love much else about that match, but...
Chelsea's attire was incredible as well.
Yeah.
The Zack Ryder one leg and their own face everywhere.
And we know the turn from Piper's coming, but you assume it's not happening here. A, because, she comes out with the US... So I guess you'll win on Saturday then. And B, everyone would already know about it. I've not read any spoilers about SmackDown either.
Don't know how... But yeah, it was such a lovely moment between the two of them that they were able to have together in reality and in fiction, but down the line, it's wrestling, this sort of thing happens.
Keep the Miss Elizabeth pose for that exact reason. Electric chair, Miss Elizabeth.
Well, I was going to sort of throw something out left field for you about the prospect of, like, when she's up on those shoulders, you're thinking to yourself, that is Randy Savage and Miss Elizabeth. That's his iconic celebratory pose. What if I was to turn that on its head and make it a violent one? Wilbourn? I don't know if you can, theatre of the mind it.
Yeah.
Someone's up on those shoulders. It's not just so they can see the whole arena in celebration. It's so that the person carrying them has enough of a height advantage to drill them back first.
Sit down.
Nobody ever would have thought about that. But
love you, Chelsea. Wouldn't want you to get hurt.
In the meantime, Chelsea Green is such an interesting figure to book as a champion.
Yes.
Because she is, it's not good analysis to say cowardly heel run, because that's kind of what's helped to get to this point, is the ability to do that role but do it in such a pleasing way that people wanted her to achieve. Now, what that means is that the babyface turn feels inevitable.
Yes.
So you kind of need to have her, she's almost vanquished one of her only real demons in Meechin. And why? Because Meechin threw her in a dumpster. A character like Chelsea Green doesn't have this, laundry list of... CM Punk's the perfect example, but he's almost too good a one. This laundry list of inbuilt rivalries, because there's just so much... it's not war under blood, it's so much that is blood.
Yeah.
Chelsea Green doesn't really have that. She doesn't leave this lasting anger with people because she's always been too funny with it. She's always taken every single loss and made something better out of it.
And she is the perfect foil for my queen, a Queen Nia, to be cash in on her, Tiff.
Yeah.
I agree that they should never use a cash in for a mid.
It's Nia saying it to get her off the back, though, isn't
and
it?
And it's Tiff, even Tiff being she worked really hard for that. And I quite Tiff. Hopefully is going to use this as a babyface turn, because she's cashing in on Nia at some point, isn't she?
I would think so.
And you want the pop for that rather than... you get a pop regardless of heel or babyface, but I just have Nia really start leaning on her. Well, Chelsea's got the US title, and then, of course, you've got that huge match on the Netflix debut. Maybe that's the... I've been talking to Postman Pierce about you getting transferred over there. Why are you trying to get rid of me?
Yeah.
Well, I've got a tag team partner. In fact, I'm fighting for the tag team titles with her tonight.
Yeah.
Which is a great way to segue into the Women's Tag Team Championship match. And I don't think it's going to be on this show, but it's a bullet point nonetheless. The reveal of Jade Cargill's attacker, because Naomi seemed rather quick to accept the invitation to just take her place in the Women's Tag Team Champions.
Yeah. It's almost as if Naomi was the only person that had considered there could be a freebird rule with the big three in these tag belts. And hasn't she benefited potentially from this? And this is the nice moment where you get the... I guess that started last week when Naomi did that thing of listing 40 people. Well, yeah, so many suspects it could be. So we best get to work.
Yeah. I'll watch the security camera footage, you say?
Yeah. There's a name missing from there. No. I've got listed everybody. I checked the roster. They're going to do the run now. She's the tag team champions. Things are going to really turn around for Naomi now as a result of Jade Cargill being out. Bianca Belair right now should have no reason to not trust her. And Naomi's presumably going to be more than happy for Bayley to be the one to keep eating the accusations.
Yeah.
I do like down the line, because of the type of babyface Bianca Belair is, her maybe like spotting something for herself, or like just listening once to somebody saying like, yeah, just out of interest. It's probably nothing, but where was Naomi? Or like, what was going on with her? And she was like, it would never be her, it would never be her. But she's a smart baby.
Yes, I will allow to a certain extent. And Bianca Belair is awesome. So you'll even allow some stretching of this.
But she's not the dumb-est,
But
she?
I really like the sort of slow drip feed of not the where were you on but like Byron Saxton and people like that being like, oh, by the way, just
probably nothing,
just in passing, but it definitely wasn't piping in because I was interviewing her or I saw her or whatever. And then maybe Naomi's like, oh bollocks, the numbers are sort of dwindling. I wasn't with Bayley when that happened, which will obviously eventually be flipped on its head. But start or I don't know, in a flashback to who was it who attacked Shawn Michaels? It's Triple H, of course it is. They get a tape, because that's what people record things on in 2024. Yeah. They get a tape delivered of like, we finally got the security camera footage. Just took a while because we needed an LP tape for the length of the security camera footage. You double it, it's 3 hours to 6 hours if those of you actually remember. Does
anybody watching under the age of 30, we're all in our 30s, fact, know even what we're discussing at this point.
And they're like, here you go. And Bianca's like, oh, great. And Naomi's like, yeah. But you probably prep for this tag match, shall we? And they come back. Where's tape gone? Oh, no. Or, oh, you won't believe this, Bianca. I was reviewing the footage and I taped over it. Well, like, there was a Traitors Christmas special that I wanted to, and I thought, oh, the tape already in there. I must have put that. And I've only gone, do you know, my dad once did that with a Blockbuster video.
Did he?
He taped like about 5 seconds of just the weather on like the middle of a movie. I
didn't realise you could record over them. I thought they put the little square gimmick, they knocked it through, so you couldn't record over.
That's just probably, it was an old film. So it's like, forsooth, what hast thou? And as we move down through the East Anglian region, my father have.
Dixon's Video Shop in Filey had 7 wrestling tapes. And I'm going to test myself by remembering them all right now. It was SummerSlam 90. It was WrestleMania 6. It was Survivor Series 1990. Any of my Filey fans out there will remember these tapes because it was probably me and you sharing them back and forth each week. It was the Ultimate Warrior's single profile tape. It was Hulk Hogan Real American. And it was WrestleMania 7 until somebody,
oh no,
apparently, according to the person behind the counter at Dixon's Video Shop, that place I later worked when it became a cafe.
Look, you say a place I later burned down as a result of this.
Funny you should mention that because WrestleMania 7 was apparently left by somebody's fire and was damaged beyond repair. Now,
how could you?
I would go through a 7-weekly cycle of renting these tapes and getting very excited in the school working week about it getting to Saturday. It was how I watched wrestling as a kid, yeah, we didn't have Sky. So if it wasn't my Uncle Bob sending tapes, or if it wasn't my dad effectively ruining his colleagues' evenings, which I never thought of as a kid. He worked at a factory and some of his mates had Sky. And I never noticed this, I never knew this at the time, but they had to leave their telly on whatever Sky channel was on. So when they were recording, I don't know, like SummerSlam 91, their entire evening was ruined. Because it's like, I'm recording SummerSlam 91 because Norman's kid wants it.
That's so nice, though.
Like, isn't it lovely? Yeah. So yeah, but in between those tapes, or finding something at a car boot sale, it was an endless voyage of discovery just to get whatever I could. A couple of mates had Sky. I was around their house quite a bit at the same time of night, the same week, or the same Saturday morning. Funny how that works out. What are you doing? Should we just go on yours? Yeah, come on, let's go out and play football. Should we go on yours? It's a lovely Sunday. Should we go in yours? Superstars is on.
I've really got a lot in common with me. No, we're mates.
Yeah, we're friends. Can I have that Sergeant Slaughter figure back? Yeah. Sorry, Luke.
I assume Bianca and Naomi retain here.
Yeah, they do retain. You want some beauty shots?
Tiffany trying to interfere and bloody screwed it up? Or
maybe.
Because I like the idea that Candice is like, pretty good team, me and you.
Yeah.
But without her.
I've quite enjoyed Candice LeRae's the sort of the straw that stirs the drink, especially now that Johnny Gargano's like, hey, we got him, champ. Like there. They're like the human brick-ass crowbar, aren't they?
Yeah.
Ciampa can be ass because he's always been kind of an asshole. And then, who would be... Candice LeRae's crowbar.
Yeah.
She's got more of them sort of like submission moves. And
Johnny Gargano is Brick.
Because he's more sort of like, yeah, how do you... Yeah.
And Brick is in action against one half of the former tag champs that they dethroned, Alex Shelley. How could you, Johnny? Well, get ready for it to happen again.
Yeah.
Because he's, as I am, starting to like being a bit of a heel.
He's done this before. And we were saying this a couple of weeks ago about, like, this was back in the period where we were rooting for this to be a plan rather than, oh, God, don't split DIY up again.
Yeah.
Johnny Gargano is such a unique figure because as a babyface in, like, the late 2010s, he was this guy that you seemingly couldn't turn.
Yeah.
Even when you accidentally tried to. We joke about that. I'm beginning to like the dark. That was ill-fated. And they were still able to just kind of like, not wave it away, but when Ciampa got injured, it was like, yeah, we need him as a babyface for this Adam Cole match. People just want to forgive him. Well, there we go then. And well, let's never speak of this again. They got away with that one.
Yeah.
And then it was like, yeah, he's perfect as a babyface, but NXT's kind of gone off the boil and nobody really wants the DIY Civil War anymore. Turn him heel. And it was, he'd not run out of steam as a babyface. There was just simply nothing left to do because Triple H was obsessed with him and Ciampa. So then you get to him in the way, and the early days of the way was really dumb. Like At Home with the Garganos, it was really terrible. They were like trying to be all sinister. And I think you've got a little bit of what's happening with Ricochet now. It's like he couldn't pull off in a million years serious heel, but the biggest dork in any room, you got it.
Yep.
And the way became something through that. Like it was one of the few lights of 2020 NXT, I would say.
Yeah.
By the time we're in the pandemic, I think of Johnny Gargano hating wheels. I think of him losing the title to Leon Ruff.
Austin Theory
Managing to get over a little bit as a result of hanging out with...
I looked at it there, so it's sort of cheating. But
you get it. Like,
I would like DIY on the Grayson Waller effect, and then suddenly being the best of pals.
Yeah. Yeah, that'd be nice, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
I want the Guns to realise...
Or even Austin Theory being like, that's a bit Shannon it, mate.
Yeah.
Like you saying that. Because I still am intrigued as we head into 2025 into what babyface Austin Theory could look like.
Wait a minute. So are you suggesting that if they went on and had a chat with what's the chat show called?
Grayson Bloody Waller effect.
Grayson Waller effect. Thank you. They went on the Grayson Waller effect, and Johnny Gargano, like Grayson Waller's kind of got like Johnny Gargano on the ropes here, and he's like you did that to your only friends on the roster, Johnny. Do you realise what that means?
Ipso facto, you got no fucking mates. He's like, well, Ciampa. Best.
He's the only one I need.
We're best friends.
He'll never turn on me.
Yeah.
when things go rough, we'll never fall out, us two. No, we're kind of rooted for this turn. It's happened. I would like now there to be some character development for the Motor City Machine Guns, which hasn't needed to be picked at yet, but now should be, right? They've come to this last outpost for them in wrestling. WWE, they've won the belts. It's almost like you've seen the images of them holding all the titles. Pretty much now they've got to go to AEW and win those belts as well.
Yeah,
it's like
almost 100% in a video game, isn't it?
They've almost done it all, and this felt like something that was just like a legacy run or whatever. Your favorite tag team, win gold, all that kind of stuff. Now that they've done that and they've kind of been cheated out by who they thought was a friend, it's like, so we thought we could trust a few people and we can't. We should have known better. Should have had more veteran instincts in this. Time to start being arseholes. I want to see more pointing at your hand. I want to see more like snarky stuff. Alex Shelley is an unbelievable smug prick. Even as a babyface, he's great at that. So time to sort of make Johnny Gargano realise what he's gotten himself into here.
Yeah.
I don't know if Shelley can win. I think you probably have to be careful beating DIY, even as heels now, because they've just turned and they're the champions and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, time for the Guns to show a bit of edge themselves now.
And I like them eventually finally being like, right, we've won the number one contenders match. With Street Profits obviously going to be factored into all this as well. And SmackDown GM, can't remember his name, he's like, real good work there, guys. You're going to Raw. I've swapped you. I'm sorry, but for this trade, they wanted first pick of someone on my roster, and they went with you because you're the best.
Yeah, you're class.
And then eventually down the line, as much as I do want to see heelish MCMGs versus the New Day.
Oh, yeah. Another dream match. Another thing that you kind of want to do.
Come on.
Like, see. It's like you never thought it possible.
Gargano's going to be a cheating bastard tonight, isn't he?
I think so, yeah.
No, because that's not even. People would be like, "Oh, I'm gonna tweet out the spoilers." Whatever. No, that's gonna happen. I'm not gonna bother with that one. But I'm still looking forward to it nonetheless.
Can't wait. Like, it's just I want to see now Johnny Gargano as a champion, fleshed out as a heel on the main roster for the first time ever. Like, this babyface main roster run has never taken realistically. So let's have a look at them as a heel instead.
I'll tell you what else I'm really looking forward to, and that's Braun Strowman on the Grayson Bloody Waller effect, because he was like, you know what, I will come on and probably kick your ass.
Yep.
Or for Mello to show up and then be like, yeah, you know what, Mello wasn't prepared for you. And then maybe they say, and that's why he wants a rematch. Whoa, I never said I wanted a rematch, guys.
No, element of surprise stuff is all right for Mello to talk through. I don't think it's bad booking this, but I've seen kind of the counterpoint to that. It's the idea of like, oh, you're just kind of reducing Mello to a comedy figure. And I'm like, well, he was sort of one anyway, but then I know there are...
one of the feuds of the year. I think
I was
really...
just going to say there was Andrade Truthers, so I would understand from your point of view why you might feel like this is slightly squandering what you've built with Mello. But I do think there is a purpose to this. This is... So Braun Strowman's come back. So, there is a sense of re-establishing him. You can't bring him back and he just gets beat or he just gets othered or whatever. However... I think the bigger purpose here is Rumble based. Like, it's Royal Rumble season, and you've just lost Bronson Reed, and
get well soon, mate.
The way that they book now, my sense is, well, having said that, Rumble's the last thing Triple H can't do, but my sense is they're always thinking about who's going to interact with who in the Rumble and who's going to do this or do what to who, and they've just lost a monster. So you bring him on back. How do you rehabilitate him as a monster so that whatever his monster spot is, it makes sense? Let's say, for argument's sake, I don't know, Bronson Reed was going to get eliminated out of the Rumble by LA Knight, and there's like a program. I'm not saying it's definitely WrestleMania, but it certainly becomes a TV thing. It's like Bronson Reed, nobody was going to stop him going to WrestleMania. He's had this amazing run, and now slot in Braun Strowman. Like, there's a new monster. He's never there to win, but he was there to kind of create drama with somebody, and that's how you move on to that. Or... to flip that, LA Knight is like, well, yeah, I lost my title, but it's all right because I've got my eyes on an even bigger prize. And he's pointing at the sign and he wants to go to WrestleMania. And then it was Bronson Reed that was going to throw him out.
Yes.
And he was going to cost him that. Well, here's Braun Strowman. It's like, well, sorry, mate, I'm bigger than you. Out you go. And there's a TV thing between, just as an example.
Yeah.
That to me is one of the reasons why they've just brought Braun Strowman back in such an emphatic way.
Yeah, I really like Braun being back. Like you say, he's just such a versatile player for this sort of thing. Heel or babyface, like crowd love him chucking people around, but also look at him. Yep. He's a threat to whoever you want him to be. But also, we'll never forget the era of like giant, what was it, double bass? He was like playing.
Yeah. Snap the string, boom.
A few bright spots in a very dark time for
Car
WWE.
stuff with Roman Reigns.
Yeah. Smash up the Grayson Waller effect.
Yeah, I'd be up for that.
Because they've got him, I don't know. They know what they're doing.
Tell you what else as well, just because the transfer window kind of allows for this fantasy booking, I wouldn't be against considering how good their rivalry was for the IC title, Braun Strowman and Gunther for the world.
Oh my God.
Just thinking that.
A something to do program for Gunther. I'll have some of that.
Well, you've got Braun. He's such a big guy. Who've we got on SmackDown? Drew McIntyre.
Yeah.
Oh, bollocks.
Yeah, Drew McIntyre. This, I guess, we're going to be in sort of transfer season at the start of the Netflix run, aren't we? It's going to be that you feel will kind of dominate conversation for a couple of weeks.
Chesterfield needs to get in a few extra players.
Yeah.
We've got a relatively decent, deep squad for League Two. Mm-hmm. I'm hoping for a bit of a push. Big game this weekend, AFC Wimbledon.
Ooh.
I think it's 4th v 6th, I want to say. But we've beat Carlisle last weekend. Just double check where we are. Always is it still nice to type in League 2 rather than starting with
league,
an N.
And no risk of that next season, yeah? Looking all right? Feeling confident?
Yeah, 6th v 4th. They're on 33 points. We're on 31, but we're in the playoffs, which is the most important thing right now, at least.
Nice. I'm taking my boys to...
Because Notts County fans were taking the piss out of us when we played them and they scored a last-minute equaliser. I was at the game, and He down there in 11th.
Mind the gap.
They're literally 3 points off us, and they've got a game in hand. But still,
you
take
go.
the wins where you can.
Yeah. Taking my kids this weekend to the Stadium Light for Sunderland versus Norwich. Would you like
Sorry to hear that.
Would you like a bit of lore on Sunderland versus Norwich?
Alex O'Neill?
No.
But he's managed both.
But he has
teams,
done, yeah. Has he? Yeah, I think he has. But no. The lore in this game is, are you ready for this? The lamest lore in football. Sunderland and not shout out to Nick Sellers, a Norwich fan, friend of mine. We have a thing that we play for, Sunderland and Norwich. A trophy that is just ours.
Oh, I think you've told me this before.
And whoever finishes above the other person in the league, when we're in the same division, obviously Sunderland and Norwich have both been up and down the pyramid, so it's only when we're
Mainly down, yeah.
When we're in the same division, there's a little trophy, and it either sits at the Stadium Light or it sits at Carrow Road, and it is called the Friendship Cup. Now, the reason this exists is actually very, very noble.
Yes.
Very noble. 1985, many consider it the most pivotal year in all of human history. It was the year of WrestleMania 1. It was the year of Live Aid. It was the year of Sunderland versus Norwich City in the Milk Cup, and it was the year I was born. And in 1985, a mere month before I came along, then the Milk Cup, but the League Cup,
Yeah.
now Carabao, Coca-Cola, Worthington, whatever, was played out between Sunderland and Norwich, and it was quite a unique final in that both teams weren't in the top division.
Ooh.
So there was kind of like, oh, this is interesting. Like a lower league side is going to win one of the tournaments that gets you into Europe, one of the biggest kind of cups we have in the UK. But hooliganism was rife. And in fact, I believe they weren't going to get into Europe because I believe hooliganism has been so bad there was a ban at that point, because that created a whole new rift, as if there wasn't already 60, between Everton and Liverpool, because Liverpool fan violence had resulted in, this is not a shoot on Liverpool fans, a lot of fan violence, but there was some particularly awful stuff happening, I think, in the early 80s with some Liverpool fans, resulted in English teams being banned from European games for something like 5 years.
Yeah.
And it just happened to be when Everton won the league, won the cup, and were the best team in England and couldn't play in Europe as a result. And that just widened the sort of the anger between the two sides in like Liverpool over that. So that was like a Liverpool and Everton gulf. So fan violence was at an all-time high. The awful Prime Minister of this country, Margaret Thatcher, was putting fans literally in cages, building like metal fences at the stadiums to like awful time for English football, like a class war taking place ultimately. And football was being used as a stick to beat the working class with. And there was not a single recorded incident of any kind at this final between Sunderland and Norwich, as the kind of like fans from like traditionally very, very working class towns in Sunderland and Norwich wanted to make a point of going to that fancy London and going to Wembley and being like, it's not football. It's not football and it's not working class that's the problem. It's governance and violence and decay and everything like
It's
that.
decent, to be fair.
And it was called the Friendly Final, and it developed, and there was a friendship that was developed between two clubs.
That's
as a
great.
result. And that was the origin of that trophy, trying to prove that, like, no, in fact, football can be the winner. Take that from two towns, not necessarily associated with the strongest Tory areas and components, shall we say. So, yeah.
Not that it matters, but who won?
Norwich 1-0. I think Steve Bruce might have scored, which is another bit of Sunderland law, because he later became Sunderland manager. But, yeah, we lost the game. Wasn't a good game from what I understand. I don't think I've ever seen it in full in 90 minutes, actually, but the Friendship Cup was birthed off the back of that, and there's kind of an official club friendship. So we're playing them tomorrow. But my kids are going, and it's going to be freezing cold, so I hope we win and, like, rub your faces in the dirt. Because we're fourth in the championship, but very much part of the automatic promotion conversation, if you look at that table. If anything, I would say it's 1 from 4 at the moment.
Yeah.
Kind of looks that way. I think there's us, Sheffield United, Burnley, and Leeds kind of switching. Leeds. That's an Alan Partridge joke. Norwich.
Yeah.
It all ties together.
It's a good cup for making a nice Christmas trifle in, I think, the Friendship Cup there.
I mean, what an ugly piece of tin that thing is. Looks like somebody's gone to their first pottery class.
Yeah.
And they've not quite...
Bloody hell.
Yeah, it's going around a bit fast. But yeah.
So your options there, Brian, are the Friendship Cup or me and Hamflett doing the scene from Ghost. You know, up to you.
Oh, making the Friendship Cup.
Yes.
Me and
Brian.
Wilbourn and Ghost creating the Friendship Cup, which you can Google. Sunderland versus Norwich, and it's the kits look great in the 85 one because the yellow and green of Norwich and the red and white of Sunderland. That's kind of like my Subbuteo as a kid.
Yes,
you couldn't get Sunderland, but you could get Southampton, and Norwich were in the Premier League. So like they're just very vibrant colours for your Subbuteo pitch.
I used to love Subbuteo. Yeah,
us as Subbuteo players would also be fine, Brian.
Yeah, that works too.
A blue kit for him and a red and white stripe one for me, please.
But before we move on, finally to another invented championship, I have to reveal my crisp fact.
Oh, teachable moment.
I saw this on X, Instagram Reels.
Sorry.
Where are you going? Okay, hang on 1 second. Okay,
Just really quickly need to leave the studio.
okay, bye.
I'm seated.
I saw this. You probably know this. You're a crisp connoisseur.
Okay.
And I went, it was like in one of those things where it's like, oh, here's 10 amazing things that will amaze you. And you're just like, that's not amazing. That's not amazing.
I hate those websites that list things in tens.
And then this was amazing. Do you know the law about expiry dates? You seen this? You heard about this?
Can I have a guess?
Yeah, go on.
Is it, there isn't, I'm going to get it slightly wrong, which is the worst way to do one of these bits. Is it that you will never find a pack of Walker's crisps with an expiry date that lands on a Friday?
I mean,
Saturday.
technically you're right. Every packet of crisps will expire on a Saturday.
Right, yeah.
And I was like, what?
Uh-huh. Fact check it, baby.
Straight away onto Walkers. Hello. Apparently, I thought this was astonishing. Share this with your friends and then tell them to subscribe to the podcast. Obviously, that's where you're going to drop more knowledge like this. And you talk about wrestling occasionally.
Tell them where you heard it.
Walkers, about this said, our production week starts on a Sunday with everything made that week having the same best before date. So when our recommended 12-week shelf life is up, no need to worry about that with us two around, the end date will therefore land on, you guessed it, a Saturday. Almost every packet of crisps there is, unless they're made by some, Wild West crisp maker.
I would say inferior brand, but I love Roysters. So
will expire on a Saturday.
Good stuff, that, isn't it?
That is officially this week's, and the only, I'm not starting any more work for myself, crisp fact.
Oh, teachable moment.
Cereal fact?
Oh, teachable moment.
Nice chase you.
Why did Mr. Kellogg's invent cornflakes?
To get to the other side. Oh, no. So, because his wife needs to get rid of some milk.
Good guess for the time. You're not close, but Stacks who you see sometimes.
Occasionally, only on Tuesdays, really.
Yeah. He would try and tether what you just said to a joke that is close to the answer. Let's just say that.
Someone about being a bit me.
No, you've gone in the opposite direction. No, it was to
Sex.
You've got it back on track. It was to curb masturbation.
Oh, I did know this. Yeah. That's
There you
why I
go.
never have cornflakes, me.
I have ricicles and a wank.
I do often send you the. I can't. What's the kids'
Fat,
show?
crackle and pop.
No, what's the?
Where's this going?
The meme of it's like a bunny from like a kids' TV show that just says right pot noodle and a wank.
Well, because you know that line, don't you?
Yes,
That's. I do, but I've just got my references mixed up.
Well,
I was thinking
I'm
of Gareth Cheeseman from.
See, I'm thinking of
Pot noodle and a
I'm
wank
thinking
is-
of Partridge. A wank, me thinks.
That's it. That's Gareth Cheeseman, the Steve Coogan character.
Yeah.
A wank, I think. Pot noodle and a wank is. You googling it on the work computer?
I've googled pot noodle and a wank. Because I'm trying to find out what kids' TV show. It's that TV show. Oh no, I don't know TV show. That little squirrel.
It cannot be from a kids show. What is it from?
It's this tells me it says there's.
I know this.
Oh,
I
you
hate
do
it.
know this. Come on. It's actually on Jay Fraser's thing for the year.
It's not The Office.
Bingo.
Actually, I think.
Yeah. Yes. It's I end up back in the taxi with both of them. He goes home, pot noodle and a wank. That's it, yeah.
I'm trying to find...
Don't do those two things at the same time with the boiling water.
I don't know what the squirrel's from, though.
No. But it's got a little chip.
But finally, we have to get around to talking about, and there's a match that sort of, I suppose, relates to it, although you can keep your
Do
thoughts...
you think anybody will do that on Christmas Day?
What?
Is there anyone out there listening or watching that on your Christmas Day agenda you have the words pot noodle and a wank? There's, 65 million people in this country?
I mean, there's got to be one.
I think so,
It's
isn't
like, statistical inevitability. Don't let us know if that's you. That's fine. Just keep that one to yourself.
I set up a burner and tell us and say we are one of your listeners or viewers.
Yeah, just with that squirrel as a picture.
Yeah. Aye. But you don't need to tell us your identity of your actual Twitter account.
But the thing that makes me rock hard, Michael Hamflett, is the Tribal Chief Championship.
Oh my God.
Now, we'll talk about the match that's on SmackDown tonight, but you can keep your thoughts incredibly brief on that because it's the new Bloodline versus L.A. Knight, Andrade, and the man who I will pretty much bet all of Eric's Christmas presents on will take the pinfall in this match, Apollo Crews.
Yeah, that's what's
They're beating them. Jacob Fatu's going to run wild. It's going to be awesome, but talk about that. We've talked about it. That's what I was talking about. Sorry.
We've seen it in the future, like Apollo Crews.
Your thoughts on the best new title to drop in 2025?
Not the same as yours, evidently.
I think I'm the only positive one on this.
Right. Where do I begin?
And by the way, yes, of course, we don't really do it, but it's a bit of a bit from me because they don't need it. They've got the Ulafala, and I get that they can't sell that. That might be seen as me and Andy discussed on the news, sort of, I don't know, cultural appropriation, a bit insensitive, whatever you want to word it. I agree that, people shouldn't just go around, wearing Ulafalas and claiming, that they're, a version of the OTC. That'd be stupid.
That'd be stolen falla.
Nevertheless, Roman Reigns beating Solo Sikoa in tribal combat means he's the tribal champion, tribal chief, whatever you want to call it. However, if it gets us a title versus title match between Roman and The Rock, I'm kind of okay with it.
That's a title for a title match of which there's no titles in it.
Yeah, exactly.
What?
They merge the titles and they both disappear.
Yeah. They've been unified into what? Jack. What's the take here?
I want to see what it looks like.
Yeah,
please send us your mock-up pictures of that.
What's the take here, right? You cannot, thanks to just generational lack of funding and support to this country's transport links, roads, railways, waterways, you almost cannot get between the minute-long bit stretch of river that separates Gateshead and Newcastle.
Nope.
You cannot do that. Roads are being closed so that they're bulldozing roads in Gateshead. They're closing bridges, they're bulldozing roads, and metros can't go underneath and in between and over top of these things because of the instability. I mean, both emotionally and infrastructurally. That's happening, right? So you cannot let yourself, IMO, get wound up about the invention of a belt.
Yes.
A couple of weeks ago when we reviewed the New Day thing, it's a podcast I'm particularly proud of. And WWE should be immensely proud of the actual content we made. We are simply the content producers. We do not create, we produce.
Well, can we give a shout out to the wonderful Jonathan Davenport here?
Absolutely, we can. I'll shout him out every single week. That man's been making the New Day pop for years with the incredible gear designs and things of that nature.
I replied to you. He sent us a lovely message, both me and Hamflett, and I sent him one back saying it genuinely means a lot getting that from you, mate. So thank you for your very, very kind words.
He's a member of the New Day as far as I'm concerned. He's part of that.
And he was part of our communications with Big E for Our Heroes Rock, which is still, despite what Kofi and Xavier may say about it, it's still a phenomenal thing that they've done.
It's one of the things I'm most proud of here at WhatCulture that we've ever been able to be associated with, even sort of on the side. And I bring that up because in that podcast, I made a point of saying it's one of my biggest bugbears when people go wrestling it in that deep, right? And it's this wave away of whatever it is you're thinking. And that felt pointed because that particular week it felt as deep as it gets, right?
What are we doing if it isn't?
Exactly, right? Exactly. So I don't wish to sort of read this news, think, I hate that, and then do the old, it's wrestling, it ain't that deep. Come on, chill out about it. But then like they're literally having to take down roads and they're closing bridges and nobody can get anywhere.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, well, maybe you can't get that cross about the invention of a belt to placate God knows what and sell to people that are the most obsessed with Bloodline stories. Maybe you can't get cross. But it's deep enough that I read it and I was like, stop it. Like, no company can be perfect. But I've tried to keep this quiet for the last couple of years, but I've been quite enjoying the Fed. Excuse me. The Fed. Right. That Netflix logo.
Okay, we'll get it in the new year. I haven't got round to doing the cinema thing, but still.
It can't be perfect, but there are things that happen that I wish didn't in order to maintain the veneer of perfection. And this is one of them. It's the Ulafala, right? The thing about the Ulafala is, I think it is a perfectly defensible bit of prop work. It's symbolic.
Within reason.
Within the
bloodlines, basically.
The friggin' bracelet. I like the bracelet.
Yeah.
My favourite thing about that entire blood feud, somehow trumping the garage door. No, that wasn't my favourite bit, but on par with the garage door reveal, was dumping the bag of beads over Punk's head, just a cascading beads over his head. Right, I loved it. I thought, yeah, that makes total sense. I'll buy that. It's pro wrestling. The Ulafala is that times whatever. It's got better lore because of when it was bestowed upon Roman by the Wild
Wonderful
Samoans
touch
back at
about
Clash of Champions 2020.
Really hit me, that did, when they were like, and I was like, oh God, yeah, that's his dad.
Yeah.
And that's one of the, the last time we saw them on television.
Yeah.
Ever.
And obviously now it carries that power.
R.I.P., yeah.
You take real life as and when you can, I suppose. But it's what is left for Roman to do to, in his mind, get things back to where they were so he can begin his chase again to become WWE champion. So it's all about like that. It's like that feeling, isn't it, of like when there's that, it happens a lot at this time of year. It's a cause of great stress for people. That nagging thing that you can't get finished and the time is drawing near.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine that if you're in that last minute chase for Christmas. I've got to go to Asda at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning and Aldi and hope that I can get my food in. That's Roman and the Ulafala.
Or if you're thinking, God, I don't know what to get that person as a present. They do like the WhatCulture Wrestling podcast, I suppose. Maybe they could get a cameo. Last chance.
Adam Wilbourn, Michael Hamflett. The deadline is drawing near. WhatCulture.com/shop. That's more your speed.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've got to go to the Ula Asda tomorrow. Right? So I share Roman's little niggling. I need to get that back. But why can't it just be that?
Yeah.
It's because WWE want to sell really expensive replica belts. And
they're struggling for money, to be fair.
And I'll tell you this, right?
Tell you what.
It's a get out of jail free for WrestleMania. Because when we talk about the millions of cards and the millions of stars and the multiple options, as stupid as it would be to everybody initially, Roman Reigns and The Rock doing your belt, because believe me, it's about as meaningful as one of them shows, they can elevate that.
Yeah. It doesn't need it, does it?
No, but like they can be like, we're kind of the WrestleMania main event in the way. Are you on last? No. Is it for one of the world titles? No. It's bigger than both.
It's for two titles.
It's The Rock's made up Muhammad Ali thing versus Roman Reigns' tribal championship. And tomorrow night, there is no tomorrow. Literally, the belts are going in the fucking bin. Like, that, you could see it, couldn't you?
Oh, absolutely.
You could see it, and it's like, well, he's fighting for the actual stuff that matters. Well, we got CM Punk over here, we got Gunther over here, we got Sami and Kevin, we got Cody Rhodes. There's so many people to figure in for the titles that actually matter. And meanwhile, it's like the sort of, it's a version of it. I don't like this comparison for some of the other reasons, but remember when they were building DX versus the Brothers of Destruction for that Saudi show? And on Raw, it was a bit like, and now it's time for the caveman hours. And it was like, where's Raw gone? What the hell is this?
Hey, where's Raw gone?
Yeah. It's a bit like that. It would almost sort of exist on its own island of relevancy. They don't need to get the knobs out. But yeah. The island of relevancy match. The only place where these belts are relevant.
I don't need it. Would like to see what it looks like.
Could there be a spinner element so that John Cena could fight for it?
Well, there we go. We've completed wrestling, ladies and gentlemen. What a year it has been. Thank you for all your support, for all your kind comments, and yeah, letting us do this as a job. Weirdly, yet again, for another year. We survived another year, Hamflett.
Where else would people get their SmackDown coverage from?
Exactly.
Otherwise, there's nowhere else that I'm aware of.
Over an hour, we've talked specifically, very deliberately, just about SmackDown.
Never go looking elsewhere for it, please.
It's that look between you and Sige. We survived another year, brother.
Every year. We'll do it today. We'll be doing it today.
But yeah, let us know your thoughts ahead of SmackDown. We did talk about it at some point in the comments or on X at WhatCulture WWE. Watch, they can follow both of us. You can follow Michael Hamflett at
Michael Hamflett.
Follow me at Adam Wilbourn. Follow us all at WhatCulture WWE. And make sure you subscribe to WhatCulture Wrestling wherever you get your podcasts from for daily wrestling podcasts. Wrestle Culture with a quiz all about wrestling in 2024 coming your way later on today. But for now, this has been the SmackDown preview where we've talked about a Tribal Chief Championship, Braun Strowman on the Grayson Waller effect, Johnny Gargano versus Alex Shelley, the women's tag team title match, and whether or not Jade Cargill's attack is going to be revealed, and all the fallout from Saturday night's main event.
The SmackDown preview. It's had all this in 2024.
We'll see you soon.